YC, how's it going? My name is Shaddai, and I'm here with the one and only Leon Sandberg. We're so glad that you're here. Welcome to Youth at Home. Whenever you're watching this, wherever you are, we love you so much, and you are so welcome here. And whether this is your first time watching or if you've been watching, we're so glad that you're here. And our hope today is that you would be encouraged by our conversation and that you would be able to go back home or go back wherever it is and understand that you are loved and that there's a God in heaven who cares about you and has a plan for your life. And today we have one of my favorite people, Leon, here, and we're going to have a conversation about change. And the change we're talking about today is change specifically in the family and specifically divorce. Like, what happens when my parents or someone that I know close to me get divorced? And so we'll go into that. But before we do, Leon, you have been on staff. You've been a part of our church for 25 years.
Yeah, I just found that out. I didn't even realize it. 25 years, man.
That is amazing. And you've done a lot of different things at this church, like had different roles.
Right.
How's that experience been? Just, being a part of this church for 25 years, kind of early days, and then being here now, like, how's it been?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It doesn't feel like 25 years, that's for sure. I started out just as a volunteer in the worship department, leading worship. And then, of all things, was asked to be the children's pastor. So I'm like, children's pastor, where did that come from? And we had 3 small children and stuff, but I was the children's pastor for 12 years.
Dang.
And I still think it's probably one of the most important things I ever did in my whole life, today included. But still was leading worship, went from worship leading to running the creative arts department, was an executive pastor, an elder. So I've been here a long, long time. I think I've done almost every ministry except women's ministry. And I would not be very good at that, honestly.
That is awesome. So you're married, have an amazing wife, Donna, who I know loves personally so much. And would you tell us a little bit about your family, family dynamics? And we'd love to hear.
Yeah. Donna is an angel, and anyone who knows her knows that that's really true. And especially when they know me and Donna, they go, whoa, she really is an angel. But we've been married for 38 years.
Wow.
How old are you?
I am 25. I had to think about
you should show me way more respect than you do. I can't even believe it. We've been married for 38 years, 3 grown children, all 3 are married. And as of May 29th, we are grandparents of 2 beautiful babies. So super excited about this next season of our lives for sure.
Yeah, dang. Well, along the lines of the topic, we're just going to go right into it.
Great.
How was, your family life growing up? I know you had your parents, they were divorced.
Right.
And I think a lot of times in church when we hear the word divorce, it's scary. Yeah. And whether it's something that our parents, went through or are going through, it's one of those things where you don't necessarily know how to talk about it or know who to talk to about that.
Yeah.
But how was that experience for you growing up, and how did that affect you?
Yeah, that's it is a scary word, and honestly, it actually should be. So I'm not going to dilute the issue at all. I'm the child of a divorced home. Donna, however, received Jesus at her bedside with her mom praying with her when she was like 6 years old. And so our experiences are very, very different. And it's so great, I'm not a youth pastor anymore, but it's great to have this conversation on this side of things, because I think I can answer some of these things a little bit more intelligently. I would not know back then as a kid these things.
Yeah.
But so I'm glad to be able to just share my experience. I was probably 7 or 8 years old when my parents were divorced. I will say, how's it affected me? It's hard to put into words, but there was this void, if you will. Felt like something was missing. I certainly, and these are statistics that you can just Google. It's very indicative of kids from a divorce home. but identity issues that I didn't know that I had, this insecurity. You just feel like you're not anchored to something. So I can see that now, but when I was younger, at 7 or 8 years old, when it actually happened, I didn't know those things, obviously. I thought everybody had 2 dads. So I remember being in first grade and having show and tell. And I didn't have anything to show, so I was telling about my weekend. And my brother and I would, every other Saturday, we would spend the day with our biological father. And so that Monday, I shared all about, my other dad and I, we went to the fair this weekend. And so and I had no idea. I just thought everybody had 2 dads, And I remember the feeling like, oh, wow, you're different. And this is, 50 years ago, so even different than it is right now, for sure. But just kind of living life, And but as I got older, I kind of lashed out in different ways, and I don't know where all of that would necessarily come from, but I struggled, and there are things that you just miss as when your parents are divorced. I guess I look at it like this through the years. I liken it to God created his design for marriage, his design for family is that you would have your mom and your dad. And, we could talk about all these different verses and stuff, but that's his design for the family, is that you would have one mom, one dad, and siblings and that type of thing. And we have lots of different definitions of family today. And by the way, I'm going to throw in there right now, if you are part of a blended family, or you're the child of a single parent or something like that, you're still a family. So, and I'll get to some of those things. But I struggled with a lot of different things on the inside that I didn't know I was struggling with. But even though I'm saying all of those things, this is weird to say and politically incorrect maybe, but I'm really grateful that my parents divorced. I just am, and I don't know where that fits into things, but even though I struggled with a lot of the issues that I have, there's a void on the inside, and like I was saying, that it's like God designed us with a cup on the inside that was supposed to be filled up by a mom, your biological mom. And there's another cup on the inside of us that he designed to be filled up only by your father. And that cup never got filled up. So my mom did remarry, so we lived with my mom. But what I want to say is, instead of glossing over things, that cup that God designed is still unfilled. And the great thing is, a lot of people would say, oh, isn't that great that God came and filled that cup when you met him and you made him the Lord of your life and you started following Jesus, and now that cup is filled. Isn't that great? And it's not that way. You still struggle. It's still empty or half full or whatever. But the great thing about Jesus is that he comes along and he makes it okay that cup is not filled up. So I guess I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. While I had issues and lived life without that cup being filled up, I still am really grateful that my parents got a divorce. I'm going to throw this, I'm talking a lot, but the other piece is there are a lot of things just in my journey that I only got because of having to walk through not having my dad around. And by the way, my stepfather, my mom remarried, a good man, provided for us and all of that, but it still doesn't take away the fact that that cup was not filled up. And so that's the target, is that you'd have one mom, one dad, but God does come and he makes it okay that it's not like that. And it made me a really independent person, and that can lean negative, I suppose, but I had to come up with answers for myself. I had to think for myself. I had to form my own opinions as a result of not having dad around, and mom being super young. She was pregnant with me when she was 16, and so that's a totally different story. But yeah, I've had to form my own opinions and take ownership. And I think as a result of what the hardships that I went through, I think I'm a broader person, and I think I'm a more well-rounded person as a result. You know how opposition just does that for you. In this case, though, it's when it comes to identity issues, which we all have, but a kid from a divorce home, you struggle in a different way. But what the enemy meant for evil, God turned around and made for really, really good in my life. So I gained some strength that my peers didn't gain as a high school student, college student, as a young man or whatever, because of the opposition that was there.
Wow, that's so good. What would you say to maybe a student that is going through that right now? Their parents are either, in the process of getting divorced, or they just recently got divorced, or maybe they've been divorced and they just are really struggling. What would you say? Maybe they're not struggling, but maybe they're just they feel numb, or they just haven't really processed it yet.
Yeah.
What would your thoughts be?
Well, this may not make sense like today or anything, but you're not a victim. You're not a victim. Don't let this define your life. Don't let this define who you are. And by the same token, don't let this be an excuse for you to not do different things. And at the same time that I'm saying all those things, go ahead and embrace the pain, acknowledge the pain, acknowledge the hardship that it is, the change that and the turmoil that this is causing you. But don't live there. Don't stay there. And at the same time, you don't have to have grace for your mom and dad. I think that you will. It's too much for you to carry by yourself. The other thing that I would throw in there as well is talk to people. Talk to Kieran, Shaddai, Kramer, your YC leader. You just have to they won't have answers. They won't have solutions. They don't have a quick fix for what you're going through. But talking about it really, really helps. And this is not the end of your world. It just isn't. Your relationship with Jesus is everything. So where there's something lacking or missing because parents aren't together, Jesus does come alongside and he makes that emptiness and that void, he comes alongside and makes it okay. And you're gonna be okay. You really will. Today may be difficult. You may be in tears today and in the future, but he will escort you through this whole thing. He really will.
Amen. Do you have any final thoughts around this conversation, or maybe just an encouragement as we begin to close?
Yeah, I guess the last thing maybe that I would say is I didn't have contact with my biological father for 27 years.
Wow.
Don't do that. I don't know that I necessarily owed him anything or anything like that, but it's not worth it. It's burning bridges in life is not a wise thing to do, no matter how justified it is and how fair it would be to just burn bridges. Just don't do that. Don't make the same mistake that I did. Have some grace for parents. You never know why these things happen in their lives at the same time. Not that you have to fix them. It doesn't matter, kind of, their story. You have to take care of yourself. But don't shut yourself off from relationships of even a stepfather or a stepmother or a blended family. Don't shut yourself off. It's just really not worth it. You're causing yourself more pain than you need to.
Wow. Thank you so much for just being honest
Oh, for sure.
And I think
Yeah.
there's just power in that honesty and sharing that story. And I know people are going to be encouraged. I was encouraged just hearing that, knowing that in the midst of all of that, even though you might not ever get that place in your heart filled, Jesus comes in and makes it okay.
Yeah.
And that's powerful. And so thanks so much. And YC, we hope so much that you were encouraged today. Please, if you have any needs or any, things that you want to talk about, hit us up on Churchome Youth on our Instagram. We would love to have a conversation with you. And again, have an amazing day whenever you're watching this. And thank you so much. Have the best day.